Welcome back to the Enjoy the Walk Golf Podcast, where we walk you through the industry's untold stories, brand reviews, history lessons, and swing lessons from industry legends to those fresh on the scene. We'll carry you through the world of golf, so you grab your bag, strap up, and enjoy the walk. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Enjoy the Walk podcast. Excited to get into this one, repping our tri-state region, Maryland State Golf Association. We have Grace Appel on the show. Grace is the manager of development and programming for the Maryland State Golf Association, where she just took over the role this year. So she takes care of a lot of the women's events. She runs the Youth on Course Foundation efforts within the Maryland State area. So excited to have Grace on the show and get to know her a little bit better and get to know the story of how she got to be where she's at and what she does today to help Maryland State Golf Association continue to grow in all aspects of the game. So Grace, excited to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, honestly. Women's golf and junior golf has always been one thing that I've been passionate about. So I'm excited to be able to share a little bit about it and my new position too also. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been something we've seen, I think, in a lot of folks we've had on the show in the past year. Dante, we've had some Metro Tour players on the show. We've had some folks from up in New York who also work within the girls' game and the ladies' game to grow women's golf, on the East Coast and nationally as well. And I think it's something that's really starting to catch fire, especially with girls of younger ages, like maybe seeing it's cool to play golf for the first time or just seeing they can go play golf for the first time. So super excited to get into how you guys are helping grow the game within the women's sport.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, Youth on Course is one of my main roles with the MSGA, and it's both boys and girls. But I think that Youth on Course is just really important because it provides the opportunity for a lot of people who don't have the opportunity to play golf. Not everybody is in a financial situation where they can join a country club. That's where I grew up playing golf, and there's a lot of public courses that have great programs, great teaching pros, and Youth on Course provides that opportunity for those kids. And honestly, in our MSGA championships, I see so many people who are Youth on Course members, and they're winning our tournaments and they're going on to play college golf. So it's just super important. And, that's the future of golf is really the kids. So we really need to do as much as we can to just promote that. And as far as the girls go, I grew up playing golf, but I was never really excited about it. My parents will tell you they had to drag me by my arms and legs literally to go to my high school golf tryouts because I did not want to do it just because there weren't that many girls opportunities. I was my sister and I were the only females on our high school golf team for the years that we shared. And so, I didn't have girlfriends that I could make through the sport, and it just wasn't that enjoyable for me. But now seeing that my high school has a girls program and my county is able to field all girls teams, I think that it just goes to show that these efforts really go a long way. And it's so important because golf is definitely one of, my favorite things to do. And looking back 5 years ago, I don't think I could have said that really. I really truly would have said 5 years ago, like, I hate golf. I really hate golf. And, now it's the complete opposite. Like in my free time, that's what I want to go do. And I've met so many cool people through golf, met so many new friends. The networking opportunities I've had are just incredible through golf. So it's definitely really, really important.
Yeah, I think I love what you touched there of like seeing kids that come up through Youth on Course go ahead and win championships that you're hosting at Maryland State Golf. I think Baltimore's seeing it a lot with their kids with the first tee as well. We're really close with Parker Bratton, who runs the first tee over there. And we're seeing that not only in Baltimore, but you're seeing it in a lot of first tee programs across the country. And it's really starting to go full circle where you're seeing it with Youth on Course too. These kids are finally getting the opportunity to go play for as cheap as it is to go play soccer with their buddies or go play pickup games of basketball with their buddies. Finally, golf's has an avenue of making it more affordable for kids like that to go play. And they're taking advantage of it and really, catching the bug like we did way back and like you did 5 years ago, where you turn the script and now golf's, the best thing in the world. So it's really cool to see kids, especially at a young age, catch the bug, and you can just see it in their eyes when they really, they want to come back, they want to play more, they want to practice, they just want to be on the golf course.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the first tee, because a lot of people, I think, have the image in their head that they're competitors, but really they go hand in hand, because first tee provides the learning opportunities, the teaching opportunities. And then with the youth on course membership, the kids are able to go out to the golf courses and then practice those things. So, the two of them are really more partners than anything, which is just awesome.
Yeah, and I think, not only are they partners, but obviously Youth on Course is kind of a partner with MSGA and vice versa. You're able to put on the 100-hole hike and help support fundraising efforts for Youth on Course. That's how we cross paths and kind of first came to know each other. And then we walked 100 holes, Dante and I, which we were crazy enough to do. Speak to that a little bit, and like, what was it like for your first experience of planning a 100-hole hike and finally seeing it through?
Yeah, so this was my first year actually planning the 100-hole hike. I was a part of it last year as an intern. I interned at the MSGA, and I was there for half of the day. So I got a little bit of a glimpse of what it was like. But I didn't really know the ins and outs until this year. In planning it, you're looking for a course that's flat. So you're doing a lot of walking, so you definitely want a flat course. And a lot of other AGAs will actually use executive courses or par 3 courses, which is really common. And I think I just, I hit up Suburban Club because Mark Helfrich, the pro there, he's awesome to us. And so I knew he would welcome us back there. And we had such a good experience last year with the hike. And doing it this year, I don't think there's any problems doing it on a full par 70 course. When it came down to, the wire, you just played that par 3 hole 16 11 times over. It saves some time. So it works out. And I think in terms of planning it, just, having snacks and drinks and adding it to the list, first aid next year.
Poor Dante.
I know.
You know what? I was very impressed with the course itself, and I thought it was the perfect venue because, you're saying a lot of these people do it on executive courses or these short par 3 courses, and you're like, wow, we actually did this on a regulation size course. Now, we were playing more of the forward tees, but I mean, it's still a regulation size course. I mean, it's still par 70. I mean, it's still, technically, if we wanted to, and I know we kind of mixed, we played like the reds and greens because it kind of was direct from like it was going forward from like green to tee, and like there was times where we were like, yo, why don't we just like play this and see what happens? And if we wanted to, we probably could have posted some of our scores. I mean, on it, like most of the courses you don't really have that opportunity, so I thought that was kind of a huge success and kind of something we can all pat ourselves on the back too, is being able to accomplish that feature on a regular size like USG sanctioned course.
Absolutely. I think that says a lot. Not that it's easier or harder one way or another.
100 holes is still 100
cheating.
holes.
100 holes is 100
It's
holes.
100 holes. That's a lot of golf. That's a lot of swings. I think we added up. If you were to take like our average score, it was near, I think, in between 300 to 400. Like if you wanted to just add
least
total score,
yeah,
which was wild. And actually, Dalton and I was in his hometown, and we were in Biglerville, at a course called Piney Apple, and it was a shorter course, but the yardage from where we were playing was relatively the same yardage that we played at Suburban. Oh, if you look at it on paper, you look at the yardage, you're like, oh yeah, we can do a 100 hole hike here until we walked completely almost like on a 90-degree angle downhill. I had to climb back up. I said, yeah, never mind. We can't do this here.
There's something different about walking the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains rather than Suburban Club. It's a little different, but it just goes to show. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, Dante, and I'm glad you said that because you said it to me the day after we hiked too, of just like how good the layout was for a full regulation course, and like how we can kind of pat ourselves on the back and say, you know what, we didn't just do it on a little like chip and putt. We did it on a full size course, and they host Maryland State Golf Association regulation tournaments there throughout the year too. So
Dalton was ripping drivers almost on every hole he could.
I had too much fun that day. I pulled driver probably too much for my own good. My elbow hurts a little bit. I probably shouldn't have swung driver that much, but it was fun. We had a time.
We were sure just going after every shot too. Like we talked about it afterwards. I said I've never swung that many like swings in all those. I mean, it's 5.5 rounds of golf and went after every single shot.
Well, it depends how you want to look at it. I mean, if you're hitting driver every time, that's less. If you hit a good drive, that's less shots you got to hit. But
that's the way I approached it. I was like, if I rip driver, I might have a chip, a little wedge. I don't have to, swing a full 8-iron. It was fun. We had a blast. We had an absolute good time playing golf. The camaraderie with the people we met for the first time. Some folks we knew from kind of going into it, but it was just great camaraderie. Like when you think about walking 100 holes, most people like get their nose up in the air and are like, why would you ever do that? And it doesn't sound like a good time. And I think I could speak for Dante when I say this. Like it was one of the most memorable, exciting, like just happy-go-lucky times with golf course. I think in my entire experience of playing golf, like there's just nothing like that where if you grow up playing golf and even playing team golf, it kind of gets close to it. But like playing 100 holes in a day with a couple strangers and becoming like best friends by the end of it, you don't get that too often in the game of golf.
Well, that and the you just mentioned it, kind of like the team aspect, the adrenaline that kind of went through on that last stretch of holes. It was like you were cheering everybody on. You're like, we got this. I was like, I haven't felt that type of adrenaline from, the days up at Marywood playing, lacrosse and getting that. Like, I looked at Dalton. I said, dude, like, I haven't felt this type of adrenaline before since playing like a contact sport. And it was just like amazing to kind of just root each other on. And I think that we got even better with our swings and contact at that like last stretch of like 20 some holes.
That's honestly my favorite part of being out there. I'm out there from start to finish and watching just how everybody progresses throughout the day. You obviously tee off at the break of dawn and you think it's going to be a great day. And then after the first round, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do this 4.5 more times. And then, the second round, spirits are getting a little lower again. And then just to kind of see the progression of everybody throughout the day. People are going barefoot after the third round. And
third round, I think we had one by the third hole.
By the 10th hole. Yeah, something like that. I know. It's just like, it's really a cool experience to watch everybody and people get goofy out there because it's like you start to get bored after a while. What are you going to do? You got to make games out of it. You got to make contests out of it. And just to see how everybody does that is very entertaining. And then by the end, it's like there's a bunch of zombies walking around is what it looks like. And you're like, oh, just please make it. Come on, please make it. But, at the end of the day, we all sit down and it's like everybody's known each other, it feels like, for 5 years. So the bonds are definitely like the best part of the hike, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, I think we definitely agree there. It was one of those things where we didn't know what to expect going into it. We've seen on social media over the past few years, a lot of folks do it. And it seemed like, by the end of it, they had high praise, but you just don't know what to expect going into it for the first time. Going up to a place where we had never been before at Suburban Club. We were skeptical, to say the least, of like a full regulation size course. Cause like you said, you see so many people doing it on executives that like, is it possible at Suburban Club? Like I know they did it, but how? And then to actually see it through is just like, it's surreal to like have it come full circle and watch people do it and then be a part of it.
I think that's also cool for you guys to say too. I mean, you're probably averaged a pace of play of like an hour and 45 minutes around, which is crazy. But pat on the back to you guys, because nobody else can say that.
And
Yeah,
I wasn't winded, which I thought. I felt I had to almost slight jog. And I just walked kind of at a comfortable, like a slight normal pace, but maybe a little bit, a little bit faster, but nothing crazy. And I wasn't gassed at the end of the day, like winded wise, which I was shocked because Dalton and I did not train whatsoever. We just drove. We were smart enough to drive up the night before and stay and lay over, because if we got up there was no way I was going to be able to get up at 4:30 in the morning just to drive 2 hours to get there, tee off, and then just go for the rest of the day. But it obviously, you put all those miles in and you put all those steps in, obviously your body's going to break down at the end of the day, and that was pretty much about it. But I guess you say cardio wise, I'm extremely impressed with how I was able to withstand all that
Well,
walking.
when we joke now too, because we just played with each other this past Saturday for 9 holes, and we're like, dude, I think we're stuck in 100-hole hike speed. Like, I think we're just all of a sudden, like, because it was the
Did
first
you beat a
time.
world record?
No chance. We're not world record setters. We're just 100-hole hikers. That's expectations are high, but not that high. We walked so fast, and Dante played maybe 9. We maybe played a total of 18 holes since the 100-hole hike till today, which I mean is abnormal for us. But I think both times we played, we were stuck in speed golf mode. So that might just be a new
Yeah.
normal for us.
Yeah, I texted him. I think I played maybe at the end of the week or the following week prior. Just went out for 9 holes because it actually was like a pretty decent day. Got out a little bit early, and I said, dude, I feel like I'm just trying to play as many holes as I can before dark. It's like new way to play, man.
It's been crazy. So taking a step back, we talked about youth on course in Maryland, and we talked about, kind of our 100-hole hike experience. You said about 5 years ago, you might not have said golf was, the coolest thing. Actually, it was far from the coolest thing. What flipped the script for you, and why did golf become such a fun thing in your life, and obviously led you to applying at Maryland State Golf Association?
Yeah, I ask myself that question a lot, actually, because I still don't probably know the answer. But after my freshman year on the golf team, we got a new coach who cared a little bit more about girls golf, and put more effort into recruiting more girls. So we got a couple more girls on the team, and it gave me a little bit more of a sense of hope, and I had some more friends on the team. So I was having naturally a little bit more fun out playing. And then I think my sophomore year, maybe, I actually won the county championship. So I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I don't know. And then I just started having more fun. And then the question came, so then college, you want to play golf in college? There's so many opportunities for scholarships out there for girls, golf scholarships. But I just wasn't really at that point yet. And I didn't really think I wanted to devote my whole life and time to playing golf in college. So I chose not to. And I went to Towson. And I still wanted to be in the sport industry. A lot of my family has always been really connected to sports. So I majored in sport management. And my junior year, I needed to do an internship for credit. So one of my professors sent me this PJ Boatwright internship at the MSGA. And I'm like, oh, it's golf. Like, I have a golf background. So I'm like, let's just apply and see where this goes. And then interviewed, ended up getting the internship. And throughout my internship, it was a 7-month long term. And the first few months, I didn't really expect it to go anywhere. I just expected it, to be an internship. And then when I was done, I would just continue on. But I think just a big part of it was the people that I worked with, everybody in the office, and the board, and just like the players and the pros and everybody that I met. Golf is such a tight knit community, and it feels like everybody knows each other. And I guess just the way the golf is, everybody is super laid back. And I was really enjoying my internship, and I was like, gosh, I really hope I can stay or maybe intern longer. I was like, if honestly I can't intern, maybe I'll just volunteer, or, find a way to kind of sneak myself in here. And it actually ended up working out in my favor. My supervisor, she got a new job about halfway through my internship. And so I saw that as an opportunity for a potential full-time job position. And so I just kind of worked my butt off, and I at that point was reconnected with golf fully. And I don't know, I ended up getting the position, and I love it. To say, I don't know what else to say. I really love it, and I could 5 years ago never see myself saying that, but I do, and I don't know why, but I do.
I love it. I think it's, Dante and I talk about this all the time, because he's thought about going down the PGA professional route. I've worked on like the maintenance side of things. I've worked in the pro shop. You get a better like appreciation for the golf industry overall when you actually start working in it versus kind of just playing the game. And I know we've both seen it from both perspectives. And I think once you once you cross that threshold of like being in the golf industry, there's something about it. There's this like unspoken connection or just this like unspoken bond of like, hey, we work in the golf industry. We're working for the greater good of just kind of growing the game, right? Wherever it is, whether it's putting on tournaments, whether it's working the pro shop or on the grounds crew. There's this unspoken bond of like, you work in the golf industry, like let's be friends, right? And like you said, it is such a tight knit community. The players, the employees, the volunteers, even there's usually so many rules volunteers or spotters out at your guys' events as well. They're just good-hearted people that just want to spend their time on the golf course and help run events. And I think that's what makes the golf industry go round. And it's just such a great community. Once you kind of see that other side, it's tough to leave.
It's so tough to leave. And I've been thinking about that because I think about, my future and, whether, I want to stay in the golf industry or just, what the future holds for me. And I'm like, honestly, I don't know if I would enjoy it as much because I just truly love the people that I work with. Like maybe that's what makes the experience for me is just all the people I'm surrounded by. But then at the same time, it's like the community is so connected that, it's people all over the United States. And I just feel like everywhere I go, there's always somebody that I know, and I always feel welcomed, and everybody's so nice. And like everybody's a mentor and a friend. And it's like, I just feel like it's a community that once you're in, you're always a part of, whether it's lifelong or not. So.
Oh, it's amazing just hearing some of the guys like at my local course, not like you're saying camaraderie and community, like you're talking within and without the industry. Like those that don't work in it, but I've talking to guys that I've played with who've been around the industry for years, and the stories that just kind of come out of their mouths and just talking about the history back in the day before my time, before I was even alive, telling me about, this club pro and how good he was and what he did for the community and how he's at this club and just like all the stories. It's really like the stories that just come out of it that just, like you were saying, is just how tight knit of a community is where you can go completely almost across the country into a facility, talk to someone, and they'll have some type of relationship with where you just came from.
For sure.
It's just awesome to see. And that's like the beauty about golf.
Yeah, we see that so much with like players. You see it with, even if you go out as yourself as like a single, by the time if you match up with 2 other people or 3 other people, the bond you have with those people, even after just playing 9 holes or 18 holes, somehow, some way they know maybe a course you've played in the past, or, come across the same head professional or teaching pro, or on down the line of similarities and common ground you can find with a random stranger within the game of golf.
Absolutely. I used to be a little bit hesitant, when I would get a tee time and then they'd pair you up with, 2 other people. And I was like, oh gosh, you never know who you're going to get. But honestly, every single time I've always had a blast. And it's like, I've met a new friend, or it's like, oh, let's do this again sometime. Or, more recently, I just play the local Baltimore, Towson public courses, and I'll pair with some ladies, and they're like, "Oh yeah, where do you play?" And I start talking to them about the MSGA more, and they've never even heard of some of our tournaments, and it's a good opportunity. I'm like, "You should come play in our stuff," and they're like, "Oh, I would love to. I didn't even know about it." Like, and it's just always like a good experience. Like everybody's just happy, like genuinely happy to be there.
Yeah, no, I think you put it perfectly. It's like whether they know about events or not, and I think that's the fun of what you're doing now is, getting into talking about the women's events you run. There's so much room for growth within the women's side of whether it's competitive golf or just getting together and playing events, put on by the Maryland State Golf Association. I think the women's game is like ripe for growth because a lot of women are maybe scared to even go compete or afraid of like, man, what if I go out and I'm not as good as everybody else, or on down the line of quote unquote excuses that women make. I think they make, it's tougher for women to go play in a competitive style than it is men. I think there's still that growth opportunity there. So talking about the events you guys run, what kind of events do you run for women, and what all things do you put on during the year?
Yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head with how women are a little more intimidated to play in our championships. Going back to before my day, the officials used to wear these navy blazers with the MSGA crest and their little MSGA ties, the scarves, and the starters will announce the players to go out and play. And I think for the women, that's very intimidating because they're not used to that as much. So what we're trying to do now is we don't wear the blazers anymore. And for a lot of our tournaments, we don't even really announce the players formally like a lot of the men's tournaments do. It's a lot more laid back. We try to just be more casual and friendly about it, just like it's a regular old day of golf out there. And I think that's definitely helped our participation a little bit. But, going forward, we're trying to just incorporate more ways that we can increase women's participation because I think, this is my first year at the MSGA, but from, my understanding that this is one of, a bad year for us in terms of women's registration. Numbers are very low. I will say for the Women's Open coming up in October, I think it's a record. We have 81 women signed up, which is insane. We actually raised the limit from 74 or maybe 78 to 84. And we're at that roof right now. And a big part of it just comes down to outreach. We, on the women's committee, have developed an outreach committee just to spread the word out there more. And I don't know, just try to make ourselves more marketable to women because they're really just not as interested in playing as the men are. You don't have to tell the men to come out and play a tournament. Like there's always a wait list and they're just always going to sign up. But for the women, you have to put in a little more effort, I think, because it hasn't always been there. So it's more of a new thing. The opportunities are definitely more new for women. So just trying to get them used to that, I think, is what we're dealing with right now.
Well, first off, exciting to hear that you guys have a record number for the Women's Open. That's awesome. I know, like you said, that's coming up here on the 17th and 18th up in Chevy Chase, Maryland. So that's awesome to see. I think when you talk about competitive golf, Dante, we were talking about this. Fall golf is an incredible time of year. Golf courses are in phenomenal shape. The weather's usually pretty good, pending storm system coming through or whatnot. But
or if you live in
always good.
Cashtown, PA, but
hey, why you got to rag on my hometown?
I'm sorry, man. I was freezing.
Yeah, but it's exciting to see that kind of pop off for you guys to round out the year. As far as obviously you have the Open and you have other maybe one-day events with like 2-person better ball teams and things like that. I know you had mentioned when we were out there at the hike, the possibility of getting like some sip and plays going with some playing some like golf and sipping some wine. What are the possibilities of moving forward with kind of not so formal events? I mean, because Dante, I think I speak for both of us. We've both played in events where they announce your name on the first tee, and man or woman, that puts the nerves on high alert on that first tee shot.
Dude, no doubt, dude. You get like knee knockers right there. You're like, oh crap.
And like
Like,
golf
great.
doesn't
Now
have to
you're
be
paying
like that all the time.
attention. It's like, can I just like I just need to swing freely? Because I mean, even tournament rounds or not, you get on that first tee and it's just like I just want to get like at least there's like 2 goals in mind. Whether I play absolute crap and shoot a million or shoot like go real low and have my career best, it's hitting a good first drive off the tee and not make par or better on the 18th hole. Those are my 2 goals. It's like 2 simple goals, and it's like
Let the people at the clubhouse think you're a pretty good golfer.
I know,
like,
there's always such a pressure. The first tee, it's like, I don't care if I play horrible for my round, just let me get off the tee and let me just make the last putt, really, where everyone's watching. But no, like you said, so we have our championships. Obviously, we have the junior girls championship. We have the women's mid-am, the women's amateur. We have a mixed 2-ball event, which gets a lot of participation because there's men involved. So, and then we have the women's senior amateur. We have 2-woman team. We have 2 sides that there's 2-woman team and then there's a mid 2-woman team. And then we have a women's open, and I hope I'm not leaving anything out, but so those are our major championships. And we also do have, some USGA qualifiers, and we have some junior girls invitational events. We do a 4-lady invitational, which is a fundraiser for our junior girls program. And so those are some of our things that women can get involved in, to test the waters a little bit with the MSGA and get to meet us and meet some other women. But like you mentioned, we are hopefully starting a 9 and wine event. What that exactly is going to look like is still in the works, but wine will be involved and 9 holes will be involved. So something that a lot of women would enjoy. So kind of the goal with that is to it's like a meet and greet, essentially, meet the MSGA. We're not super scary. It doesn't have to be intimidating. Meet the women, meet some other players, meet the committee, meet our volunteers, get used to having some officials around. There won't be any officiating going on, but just having people out there and getting used to what that feels like. So that when you do choose to hopefully sign up for one of our championships or other events, it's not as intimidating. I think the biggest hesitation comes with not knowing other players who are signed up. Nobody wants to show up somewhere where they've never played in the tournament before. They don't know anybody. And it's like, that can be super intimidating. Nobody wants to put themselves in that situation. So the goal with this is to avoid that and just not only meet the MSGA, but meet new players or current players. And just a relaxed, non-competitive, just totally fun, laid back environment. And then we also have our one-day events, which are co-ed, and those are, all playing abilities are welcome in our one-day events. And there's a net component, so those are more laid back too. And that's a good way to just kind of start and, get your feet wet a little bit with what the MSGA is about.
For sure. I know anytime net's involved at my club, and I think Dante, yours the same, like our gross match play was only maybe 30 or 40 players this year. Our net had over 120. As soon as net's involved, it seems to just open it up to the masses. People feel like they're on a little bit more of a level playing field, which, I think whether you're male or female, you can kind of see the ability to go out and play and have a little bit more relaxed time because, the handicap's there to fall back on a little bit, but it makes it fun for everyone.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the handicap. Everybody can play fairly against one another, which not a lot of other sports have. So that's definitely huge.
For sure. Now I know, Dante, when we talk about handicap all the time, you're like, sometimes you wish it wasn't there because people can sandbag the heck out of you. But at the end of the day, it makes matches more fun. Most of your match play events went all 18 holes in the net because of handicap and being a close event. I know mine were the same. So at the end of the day, it's usually really true. And it makes for great times, and it makes for, it makes easier times on the golf course to meet new people too. I've met a lot of new members over the past few years through net events, just because they were willing to sign up and go ahead and play because of the net format. So
yeah, because they have a chance to play. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it makes it so much more convenient for people to get out there and pick up a club and say, you know what, let's just go have some fun and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one of the things also we try to incorporate into our women's events. If you were to compare them, with the men's events, we have more flights, we have more divisions, and we'll, in some, have a net component just because it encourages women to play more, going back to what I said, how you don't have to ask the men to play. There's always a wait list. They're always going to sign up. But for the women, having more opportunities for them to win is definitely more enticing to them to sign up. Everybody wants to win. So even if it's like third net, you're still getting a prize. I would do it.
100%. Prizes involved. Everybody gets out for some prizes.
It always feels good to go home with some hardware.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, you grow up playing, myself, mainly team sports, and at the end of the year, hopefully you make it if they have a playoff or whatever championship, and you walk out with like the trophies. And then after college, there really wasn't much. And then, I start signing up for, you get into golf and you start signing up to get like someone to hand you a trophy at the end of the day because you like went out and played your best and was the best out of everybody that you played against. It's a wonderful feeling. Like you forget about that when growing up as like, as a kid, and then you go and you're like, wow, I can, even though, I'm a full grown adult, I can still go out and win a trophy and go home at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You got to let the kid out inside a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We always want to compete, and we always like, to win something. You put it on, you put on your desk at home or whatnot, your desk at work. Come in the next day, and you're holding a big trophy, and it's going right on the top shelf of your desk, and people walk in, like, dang, like, good job.
I love it. Well, Grace, so you've had a full year of, being in the position. What is maybe one of your favorite memories of whether you were hosting a women's event or youth on course efforts? What was one of your favorite memories to look back on and say, man, that was a really special moment of year one of Maryland State Golf Association?
Oh, that's got to be the hardest question you probably could ask me.
I know, I put you on the spot.
I've had, obviously so many great opportunities that I've looked back on. And, there's so many times where I like call my mom and dad after work. And I'm like, oh, you won't believe it just happened today. Oh my gosh. Like, can't believe, this day I met this person and, this happened or, man, I don't know. I think probably the most special thing for me was being a part of our junior girls invitational. We have the Poindexter and the Mid-Atlantic Challenge called the MAC. And those are two events where the girls apply and there's a team that's selected. And then for the Poindexter, Maryland plays against Virginia, and for the MAC, Maryland and Virginia team up and they play against the Carolinas. And I think for those events, it's really unique because they get a sense of team and camaraderie, which is not common in golf. It's a very individual sport. And I think I kind of lived through them because that's something that I never had growing up in golf. That's why I didn't have a great relationship with golf in the start. So just to see that kind of come true for these girls is definitely probably one of the most special experiences that I've had at the MSGA. And just getting to know them and then watch them grow. They all play in our events and they start out, in the junior and they're maybe 14 years old. And then, you'll see them grow and then they'll be 18. And then a lot of these girls, I've researched, they've been on our teams, they played in the junior, and now they're winning our women's amateur. And then they're going on and they're getting recruited to college teams. And I think I see myself in them a little bit. So that's probably my favorite part.
I love that. That's awesome. That's, seeing the full circle, seeing girls get that experience at such a young age has to be incredible for you and the whole team at Maryland State Golf Association. I mean, without you and the full team there, like they wouldn't be able to have that, right? Like you guys are doing an incredible effort to put events like that on for Maryland, for Virginia, for the teams in the Carolinas. Like it takes every big team like that to make things like that happen. So you guys are really affecting a lot of lives, which is incredible to see. And obviously, as you said, they're starting as juniors, they're coming up through, and they're winning amateurs, they're getting scholarships. I know I've told Dante plenty of times, it keeps sending him the leaderboards of these events, and I'm like, there's so much talent out of the Maryland, Virginia area, like of women's golf, of men's golf. There's just so much young talent coming up, and seeing it, every summer through the Maryland State Golf Association is always a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, for sure. It's incredible the talent that some of these young girls and boys have, like just how far they can hit the ball, and just there's some of the scores that they're putting up. I don't understand, but it's really cool to watch.
That's why we all have day jobs. That's why we're sitting here talking golf and
That's
not
why
playing
I'm not
golf.
out there playing.
Yeah, but it really is cool to see, and obviously, you having a part in the women's side of everything is fun to see from our side as well. Hopefully, nothing but the best moving on to next year as you continue to grow and have more fun events, which we're looking forward to see out of Maryland State Golf and your efforts as well. So, where can women go to, maybe even if they don't want to sign up, maybe just to learn more about Maryland State Golf, just maybe even more learn about the game and what you guys have to offer for women and girls in the game?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of great resources on our website. We definitely we try to, after every tournament, or even just monthly, post a news article just recapping, so that people who might be interested but are too nervous to reach out can kind of read a little bit about what goes on during our tournaments, and some of the initiatives that we have going on. So I would definitely say that our website is a great resource. But also, if you're ever, just curious, I'm a great resource. I would love for you to reach out to me and just give me a call, or, shoot me an email and just like tell me what you're interested in, and I can point you in the right direction. I think a lot of people are a little bit, hesitant. Nobody wants to just sign up for an event that they have no idea anything about. So that can be a little scary. So, if you want to just be on our email list even, and just, receive notifications about what's going on with the MSGA, anything like that, just definitely, I would say, start by reaching out to us.
That's awesome. So best way to reach out to you for these folks, you said via email. So, we'll shoot out the email in the podcast notes, whether it's on Spotify or iTunes. So guys, go look there for Grace's email, and we can happily send everyone your direction to get to know the game a little bit better, whether it's for their young lady or whether it's for someone, in their mid 30s or 40s, picking up the game for the first time. I think we've seen so many guys do that as well. And I know our women's membership has gone through the roof down here in Ocean City. So it seems like there's a lot of folks that are even picking it up well into their 30s for the first time and say, give this game a try. So, that's the best part, is it's never too late to start.
Never. Yeah. That's the whole point of the handicap, right? You just jump right in and play with everybody and just get yourself out there. It's all about the fun.
Absolutely. Well, Grace, we appreciate the time tonight, joining us and talking golf. You guys are doing a lot of incredible things at Maryland State Golf, and you specifically with the women's side of the game, and growing the game for young ladies and women alike. So thank you again for the time. And as always, guys, you can go to www.enjoythewalkpod.com to check out the latest shows from us, as well as grabbing the latest merchandise, as well as our latest blogs and posts as well. So guys, thanks for listening. Now get out there, carry your clubs, and enjoy the walk.